Hello everyone, Shears here, and today I want to talk to you about Vket Real 2026 Summer, which I was lucky enough to attend in Akihabara, Japan. But before I talk about the event, I'd like to offer some backstory for those who are unaware of Vket. Vket, which is also known as Virtual Market, is a VR chat and real-life event operated by the Japanese company Hiki. The event takes place twice a year in summer and winter. The main focus of the event is to create spaces for creators and communities to show off their work. So, for example, creators may show off avatar, world items, and items for avatars, like maybe some Stardust sunglasses. You never know. And these are showing off in various VR chat worlds created by Hiki and those who are associated with them. Hiki also creates special limited time only worlds for corporations that look to use VR chat as a way to expand their market base. Companies that have paid to show their products include Disney, Centauri, and many, many more. Essentially, Vket is a convention where users can acquire booth space via a special lottery system and show off their talents and sell the items they've created. As I just mentioned, Vket isn't all about selling digital items. It also has a strong community aspect where the company will help promote VR chat groups, entertainers, and those who wish to help share their wisdom via VR chat. Also, every Wednesday, Hiki offers a special World Hop event where users can explore previous Vket worlds and socialize with those who show a keen interest in Vket. These events are done via the Virtual Market Global Group, which will be linked somewhere around, will be shown somewhere around here, hopefully. Now, with that little introduction out of the way, let's move on to the core aspect of this video, my thoughts and experience with Vket Real 2026 Summer. This summer's event took place over a 2-day period in Belisale, Akihabara, an event space in the heart of Akihabara. And for those who don't know, Akihabara is very much an area of Tokyo that is known for otaku and electric culture. The event took place over multiple floors. The ground floor was a semi-open space that was free to everyone. The first floor was a paid ticketed only area. And on the first day, there was a basement area, which had a lot of cool things. So, first and foremost, the summer weather in Tokyo was oppressively warm with high humidity, zero wind, and a high dew point. And this was on both days. So, weather exceeded 30 degrees Celsius. I believe with the humidity and dew point, it felt like it was in its 40s. And, well, as you can imagine, as an Irish woman myself, I was not built for that weather. Spoiler alert, I may have had mild heat stroke on day one. But hey, that was rectified with some lovely Bacardi sweat and some food. Now, with such intense and uncomfortable heat, it did make Vket Real a challenge at times, especially on the semi-open ground floor, as the space offered only short respites from the heat. This was due to the scattering of portable air conditioning units that, while offering some respite, didn't knock the heat back as much as I personally wished. However, all was not lost as the basement and first floor had full AC, which very much was needed. As you could probably tell from what I just said a few moments ago, I found the basement area to be the number one rest spot, as not only did it offer protection from the elements, but it also had the all-important vending machine. And it also had what was probably one of the coolest aspects of Vket: robots. And who can turn down a good robot? Because they were everywhere. It was amazing. If you loved robots, you would have been in heaven. Now, while the basement was a great place to rest on the first day, on the second day, event goers were asked not to relax or lie around in the basement area. This was personally annoying, as it meant the only place to rest was on the ticketed area on the first floor, or the limited outdoor cover, which was really pillars and a few stones you could sit on. I think this was my biggest detraction from Vket, and honestly, it wasn't really the organizer's fault. Yes, space for those to sit and heighten the heat would have been good, but personally, I believe they tried their best. I actually had a conversation with someone before Vket. I was going shopping, went to Family Mart, and got talking to this guy who had been living in Japan for 2 years, and he said this is the worst experience he's had with the heat. So yes, heat could have been expected, but also it was a lot. The heat was a lot more oppressive and worse than I think most people may have expected. So, with that negative out of the way, let's move on to a huge positive. The Vket staff and volunteers. Everyone working at the event was so incredibly nice and helpful, and despite my limited Japanese, I could converse with many of the staff. There were also several English-speaking volunteers, which was a great touch and gave the event a more global feel. A great example of the helpfulness of the Vket team was when I was a bit confused on how to access the first floor with my paid ticket. The staff made sure that I was able to understand how access to the area was done. It was a timed entry, and they showed me on my phone like how to set it up, and it was great. What made it even better was, by the second day, Vket themselves released a little tutorial on how to use the ticket system, which showed they responded well to an issue and overcame it with flying colors. So thumbs up. Now, while I do praise the team, I do want to say I am VRChat friends with many of those who helped at the event, but honestly, I believe that if I didn't know some of the team before visiting Vket Real, they would have been just as friendly and helpful to me. So I briefly touched on what the ground and first floor offered, so let's expand upon that. The ground floor in my mind was very much a social space where people could write their names on walls, prepare virtual food for maids in a food tossing game, and most interesting of all was the ability to interact with VRChat players through multiple dedicated booths. So this was using, I think they call it the portal system, which is a great name for it, by the way. So attendees could go to a Vket booth and interact with players in a special Vket Real VRChat world, or go to the official VRChat booth and interact with Vket ambassadors, assistants, and some VRChat developers. Personally, I had a lot of fun at the VR chat booth, as I was friends with some of the people, so I got to have a lot of fun messing with them. Some say too much fun, maybe? I don't know. Finally, the ground floor had the all-important Vket store, which had a large amount of Vket goodies, including some gacha, t-shirts, soundtracks, and a lot more. And of course, you'll probably, I guess, wouldn't believe this isn't correct way to say, but definitely would believe this. The first item sold out was the towels. And as I said earlier, it was very warm. So I think the towels made sense to be the number one selling item. Because, whew. Now, let's move on to the first floor, which I mentioned earlier was a paid area. This was the exhibitor hall. The hall which had various exhibitors who wanted to sell items based on popular VR chat avatar bases, as well as various VTuber memorabilia. There was also fun novelties such as a real-life mirror button that did in fact turn a mirror on and off. Basically, you press the button, it defrosted the mirror, I think that's the correct way to call it, and then you refrost it when you press it again. There was also a carnival shooting game, which was very, very popular. I think every time I went up there to check, I was like, I might give it a go. It was like huge queue. It's like, my personal favorite was the ability to print out a kind of VR chat ID, where you could show your VR chat name and other information. But what made it my favorite was that if you tapped it with an NFT enabled phone or scanned the QR code, you could provide people with various amounts of information about yourself. So for example, with mine, people could access my social media account or my YouTube channel, depending if they tapped it with an NFT enabled phone or scanned the QR code. Now, for me, creating the ID was a bit tricky, as I was getting errors during the creation process, but like the Vket staff and volunteers, those who ran the booth were incredibly helpful. They solved the issue, so basically it wasn't working on my phone, so okay, this is the number we need to do, go onto our laptop. It is really interesting now that not just Vket staff, volunteers, but those who attend want to help you. They're there. It's amazing. It's so great to see. And of course, Vket Real isn't primarily about buying things. It's also about community. And as I said earlier, I was lucky enough to attend Vket with several people I befriended while playing VR chat. So this, in my opinion, is what Vket Real is all about. Meeting one's digital-only friends in real life and exploring not only the convention, but also doing off-site activities such as the Mokuri meetup that happened in a pub, or going to a restaurant at the end of the event, sitting down and having a chat and having some lovely food together. It's a really great thing to do. So, as I finish this video, there's one final all-important question. Would I recommend Vket Real? Honestly, while I did mention some issues, I would highly recommend Vket Real to not only existing VR chat players, but also to those who are interested in becoming part of a caring and fun community. Now, I did mention heat, which lack of places to rest and all that, which can be caused by a bit of crowds. And this is something Hickey kind of took to heart. They saw it themselves. And so for Vket Real 2026 Winter, they're actually moving the event from Akihabara to Shinjuku, and I can't wait to see what they offer there. I am Assurus. I want to say thank you very much for watching, and I hope you subscribe and check out more of my videos. Thank you so much again, and I will see you hopefully in another video quite soon.